Hi students, and welcome to this lecture. From here we are going to explore the fascinating world of coordinate geometry. The coordinate geometry forms the link between algebra and geometry. So it is an interface that helps us to understand geometry using algebra and also vice versa. So it forms a very essential part of mathematics, and for obvious reasons it makes it very important for us to understand it very clearly. So what we have done is, we have divided this chapter into 3 lectures. So in this first lecture, we will understand the Cartesian plane, what exactly it is and why do we need it. Further, we will see how to calculate the distance between 2 points in a Cartesian plane. Also we will solve a few problems to understand the concepts more clearly. So let's begin this lecture. The coordinate geometry, which is also called as the Cartesian geometry. Now before we understand what exactly is coordinate geometry or what exactly is a Cartesian plane, it's very important for us to answer this question. Why do we need to study the coordinate geometry? Why on the earth was there any need for us to study coordinate geometry or to develop this branch of mathematics? So let's try to explore and find an answer to this question. Now let us say that this is a piece of paper and there's a point P located here. Now if I ask you what is the exact position of this point, you won't be able to tell it precisely. So if I say that this point is at a distance of 4 units from this edge of the paper. Now this may help a bit because this point is at a distance of 4 units from this edge. Not every point on this paper would be at a distance of 4 units from this edge. But still it gives us a vague feeling because there might be so many points on this line that will be at a distance of 4 units from this edge of the paper. Now how to differentiate between this point P and the other points that lie on this line? For that, we need one more information. That is, this point is also at a distance of 6 units from this edge of the paper. Now, this information and this information together helps us to calculate the exact position of the point P. That is, P is at a distance of 4 units from this edge of the paper and it is also at a distance of 6 units from this edge of the paper, and these two information when clubbed together gives us the exact information about the position of point P. So now we can exactly know the position of the point P on the paper. Now let us say that this is a shelf in the library. Now if I want to know the position of this book in the shelf, now how can I describe the position of this very edition of the book? For that, the required information would be this book is in the first row and it is fourth from the left. Or you can say that the row number of this book is 1 and the column number of this book is 4. So these two information gives us the exact position of this book. Similarly, if we see this book, now what is the row number of this book? Definitely the row number is 5 and the column number would be 3. That is, this book is placed in the row 5th from the top and it is the third book from the left. So this gives us the exact position of this book. And this is the way we can actually arrange the books in a library according to their row number and column number. Because if we don't do that, then locating the exact position of any book in the library becomes very tedious. So that was actually about the position of any object on the plane. So this is actually the point why we study the Cartesian plane or the coordinate geometry. Coordinate geometry helps us to know the exact location of any point in a plane, and this plane is the Cartesian plane. So why do we study Cartesian geometry? The first and the foremost purpose of Cartesian geometry is to help us to locate any object with respect to any plane. This plane is known as the Cartesian plane. Now you guys have already studied about the concept of number line in the chapter on number systems. So in a number line, distances from a fixed point are marked in equal units, positively in one direction and negatively in one direction. This fixed point is known as the origin. So if we consider this to be a number line, then O is the fixed point and it is called as the origin. So the numbers on the right hand side of the origin are positive and the numbers on the left hand side are negative. Similarly, if we consider a vertical line y dash, so again here the fixed point is O, which is called as the origin. The numbers that are above this origin are positive and the numbers which are below the origin are negative. Now if we consider these two lines x x dash and y y dash such that x x dash is a horizontal line on which the numbers are marked, and similarly we take a vertical line y y dash in which the numbers are marked, such that x x dash, which is a horizontal line, and the vertical line, which is y y dash, intersect at the point origin. So we have placed these two axes in such a way that the origin coincide with each other, and these two axes together form the coordinate system. So these two lines cross each other at their zeros or at their origins. This line x x dash is the horizontal line, and similarly y y dash is the vertical line. Now you must have heard of René Descartes, and in the honor of Descartes, the system used for describing the position of a point in a plane is called as the Cartesian system. So we have already studied that Cartesian system is important for us because it helps us to locate the position of a point in a plane, and René Descartes made a very useful contribution in evolving this branch of mathematics. So in the honor of Descartes, this system is also called as the Cartesian system. In classical mathematics, analytic geometry, also known as the coordinate geometry or the Cartesian geometry, is the study of geometry using the coordinate systems and the principles of algebra and analysis. This helps us to study geometry using algebra and understand algebra with the help of geometry. So we can say that coordinate geometry is the interface that helps us to understand geometry using algebra, or it helps us to understand algebra using geometry. So it acts as an intermediate between algebra and geometry, and this actually makes our work very easy. So because of this, coordinate geometry is widely applied in various fields such as physics, engineering, navigation, seismology, and art. So we've seen that coordinate geometry acts as an interface between geometry and algebra, and because of this it is widely used in various fields such as physics, engineering, navigation, seismology, and art. Now let's study about the Cartesian plane, and this is the plane in which we would be working. So consider this line, which is x x dash, and this is the horizontal axis, and similarly we consider the vertical axis, which is y y dash, and O is the point of intersection of these two axes, and this is known as the origin. Now you can clearly see that these lines divide this entire plane into four parts, such that this part is known as the first quadrant, this part is known as the second quadrant, this part is known as the third quadrant, and this part is known as the fourth quadrant. This is called as quadrant because the plane has been divided into four parts. So this is the first quadrant, this is the second quadrant, this is the third quadrant, and this is the fourth quadrant, and all the points would lie in any of these four quadrants. So these four quadrants together constitute the Cartesian plane. Now let's try to study more about the Cartesian plane. So this is the horizontal axis, or which is known as the x-axis. This is known as the y-axis. Now the points on the x-axis towards the right side of the origin are all positive, and similarly the points which are towards the left side of the origin on the x-axis are all negative. Similarly, if we take the points on the top of origin along the y-axis, then these are positive, and all the points below the origin along the y-axis are negative. So if we consider any point P2, 3, then this is the distance of this point from the y-axis. Similarly, this is the distance of the point from the x-axis. Now this point definitely lies in the first quadrant. Now this distance of the point from the y-axis is known as the abscissa, and it denotes this. So the distance of a point from the y-axis is called as the abscissa, and which is actually the x-coordinate of any point. Similarly, this distance, which is the distance of the point from the x-axis, is called as the ordinate, and this is actually the y-coordinate of the point P. So if we have any point in the first quadrant, we can clearly see that the abscissa and the ordinate are both positive. Now let's consider a point in the second quadrant. So let us say that -2, 2 is a point which is in the second quadrant. Now this is the distance of the point from the y-axis, and this is the distance of the point from the x-axis. So this becomes the abscissa and this becomes the ordinate. or this becomes the x coordinate and this becomes the y coordinate of the point. So minus 2 is the abscissa of this point P dash, and similarly 2 is the y coordinate of the point P dash. Now let's consider a point in the third quadrant. Let us say that P double dash is the required point, and we see that here the abscissa of this point is minus 3. That is, it is towards the left side of the origin and at a distance of 3 units from the y-axis. And similarly, this point lies below the origin, so it is below the x-axis, and this is at a distance of 3 units from the x-axis. And so the abscissa becomes minus 3 and the ordinate also becomes minus 3. And at last, let's see a point in the fourth quadrant. Let P triple dash be the point. So here we see that 1 is the abscissa of this point and minus 3 is the ordinate of this point. So the x coordinate is 1 units and the y coordinate is minus 3 units. So we clearly see that if a point lies in the first quadrant, then the abscissa and the ordinate both are positive. Similarly, if we have a point in the second quadrant, then the abscissa is negative and the ordinate is positive. If we have a point in the third quadrant, then the abscissa is negative and the ordinate is also negative. And if we have a point in the fourth quadrant, then the abscissa is positive but the ordinate is negative. Now abscissa is the distance of the point from the y-axis, and similarly ordinate is the distance of the point from the x-axis. Now let's see this table. This is the quadrant, this is x and this is y. So if a point lies in the first quadrant, then both x coordinate and y coordinate are positive. If the point lies in the second quadrant, then x coordinate is negative but the y coordinate is positive. If the point lies in third quadrant, then the x coordinate is negative and y coordinate is also negative. So both x and y coordinates are negative if the point lies in the third quadrant, and if the point lies in the fourth quadrant, we have the x coordinate as positive and y coordinate as negative. Also the x coordinate is called as the abscissa and the y coordinate is called as the ordinate. The coordinates of the origin are taken as 0, 0. So if I ask you what are the coordinates of the origin, then your answer should be 0, 0. The x coordinate is equal to 0 and the y coordinate is also equal to 0. Now the coordinates of any point on the x-axis are of the form of x, 0, and the coordinates of any point on the y-axis are of the form of 0, y. Now why is it so? If we consider any point on the x-axis, then definitely the y coordinate has got to be 0. So the ordinate of that point is equal to 0, and thus the coordinates of that point would be x, 0. Similarly, if we consider any point on the y-axis, then in the y-axis the abscissa of the x coordinate is equal to 0. So this would be equal to 0 and the y coordinate could be y. And so we can say that the coordinates of any point on the x-axis are of the form of x, 0, and the coordinates of any point on the y-axis are of the form of 0, y.